Welcome to episode 49 of Cosmic Divide. I am joined today by a wonderful man, a man who delves deep into the mines of knowledge across the universe. His name is Shia Wager, and here he is. He's very happy. He's a man of many voices, well, at least many voice effects. I'm not sure if you saw my impression of you on Platchat yesterday.
Oh no, I was there. I was literally there.
Oh.
Lots of gumption, you know what I'm saying? It was straight from the
I think I got the spirit of what you were trying to say. I just maybe got the accent slightly wrong.
You know what it is? I think like because my wife says this too when she watched the show. I remind her a lot of Ted Lasso with the way I like say things and like coach things, and I feel like your brain like maybe mushed the two together when I was talking about the coach wanted to just be good too. So a combination there, but no, not from the South.
Yes, yeah. But the thing, like, I don't know, when people think of Canadian accents, they just you just think of like, oh, sorry,
sorry, yeah. There's a combination there that makes sense. Yeah.
But you don't really have that. But then again, I don't think I have a stereotypically English voice either. But like, it comes out in some of the things that you say, though. Like you'll say,
no, it's true.
Mate. I might say the word mate, whereas you would say.
I also just use UK. I say brother, but I feel like
brother.
that's even more fucking. That's more like UK than Canadian. No, like,
yes.
I had a like max London living like caster partner for 5 years, so it's like it's rubbed off on me. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's dive into the episode. We're actually not going to talk Valorant first off. I actually forgot to do this the last time I did the show. But a question from my little black book. Hold on, I'll get the black book. Which is from when I think this is actually
whoa
a House of Commons
we have
thing.
the same black
Mine
book?
is you can maybe see it in Boston just there. But yeah, the question from the little black book. I was looking through some of my old radio shows that I did at uni, and the question I want to ask you, Shio, is this: if you could choose to have everyone age like Benjamin Button, so we all start old and go and die when we're a baby, essentially, would you choose that for human beings? Like, let's just say that was always the case for human evolution. We just always had done that. Would you prefer that to happen for everyone?
Depends on how hardly the children yearn for the mines, because like my mind goes immediately to like labor and the possibilities of like just the flip of society, right? Like you got like when the adults are primed to work, like they can work crazy jobs now. Or I guess the kids when they're primed to work, right? Like we're talking about send them to the oil rigs off rip at like 15. The 80s could do that, right? The 70s, the 60s, it could be there. I've seen Tom Cruise. I've seen who else is there right now? Shah Rukh Khan. Like if you're watching from the Asian region of the world, the Bollywood actors are all like rocking 60, looking good. I don't know, man. That's an interesting one. I would say there's a lot of positives, like crime, a little kid committing crime, or like actually a 16-year-old with the knowledge and the knives, no matter where you are in the world, is a bit dangerous. Man, you know what? I take the flip because I feel like towards the end of society, at least we're not dying from disease. You're kind of like curing diseases, and like you're dying a happy young little child, still with like maybe not the physical ailments as much, but like you're just toddling around, and then like we kind of fizzle away. Cemetery costs lowered, right? Because you kind of just blink out of existence. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
There's many positives. Like Sideshow gets to like play inside an esports league and look his age. Like that's kind of nuts. You know
what would be interesting for Sideshow is, and I hadn't really thought about that, but that's a good point, is if you bald quite early, you don't know when your hair's going to grow back. Like he knows that it probably is coming at some point, but he's like, imagine you're like Sideshow and you're like, in your 50s or whatever, and you're like, oh, here we go, I'm gonna get my hair back, at some point, it must be coming soon, like, middle age, like it's coming soon, and it's like, no, you gotta wait till like you're like just 15 again before you get the hair back. But yeah, it is an interesting question because I think there are actual positives to it, right? Like, I mean, one thing is you would know when you're gonna die. Right?
That's true.
You would know you would know when you're gonna die, so you'd get to experience. In fact, even when a person was born, you would know instantly, like, oh, this person's only got 30 years to live. Like, oh no.
Born at like 10 years old.
Yeah, like,
Fucking-
oh no, they're in
That's
trouble.
crazy.
They're in a lot of
Yeah.
trouble. But then you
Yeah,
could
yeah,
plan
yeah.
your life out. You know, you could plan your life out accordingly to how old you are when you come out of the womb. Pregnancy
Yeah.
might be a bit strange, but other than that, well, anyway, it's an interesting
We're
thought
not-
experiment. Let us know what you would do. Would you choose that for the human civilization? Because this is the kind of, well, it's not the kind of question we're going to get into, but today's episode is going to be based around 5 key questions that I'm going to give to Shayo. Well, and talk about it myself, of course. And that's going to form the major discussion points of this episode. Now, this is all kind of based off a question that I came up with during the start of America's playoffs, which is it more likely that G2 don't make it or EG do make it? And, you know, that's, I thought was quite a difficult question because, of course, almost everyone thought G2 will make it, but almost everyone thought EG won't make it. Now, as it happens to have played out, they are playing against each other in a game to see who qualifies. So it is crazy that we've got to this point. And I think, you know, you could argue that G2 have underachieved, or you could argue that, I mean, EG have definitely overachieved. G2 have had some fairly hard games, you might say, but perhaps they struggled more than they should have done, or at least we thought they would have done in those games. So let's start off with question number 1, which is going to talk about G2. Okay, but it's going to be a similar question, but with a different team other than EG. So my question to you, Shayo, is this. Is it more likely that G2 do not make Masters Toronto? Or is it more likely that Team Vitality do make Masters Toronto?
Oh, I think it's more likely, dude. So you're asking me, do G2 lose one game, or do Vitality win 1, 2, 3 games against as well 2
without
top
losing,
seeds without dropping 2 maps in a series? That is crazy. Vitality's maps have looked kind of, I mean, their game has just looked kind of iffy. If we're on Haven, they only got one half of the side to work with. If they're up against the British Beast himself, Boaster, I mean, I think it's genuinely more likely that G2 flunk out than Vitality make it. I'll be real with you.
Okay.
I feel like
wow.
in Europe, like the amount of people coming. I mean, I'll start with that, and then you can respond to that take. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the G2 one is quite simple, right? Because G2, it's a straight one-off game to make it or not. So I think we can. What percentage would you give EG in that game, right? Like
genuinely, like, because I've also have analogies for every single team from Americas to Pacific, and my Pacific ones might be a little bit off, but like based on the analogy I gave for G2 EG, like it would actually be close to a 90-10. Like genuinely close to a 90-10. Like 80-20, 90-10, G2 moving on towards the lower finals and going to Toronto.
I would put EG at 20. Process. Okay, I would put EG at 20. So we're kind of in a similar ballpark. And then when we look at Vitality, the thing about Vitality that people might not understand, because you might be like, oh, well, the EMEA playoffs, we don't even know all the things. Well, the thing is with Vitality, we do know where they are. If I can just get to EMEA just here, just to show everyone. With Vitality, they are locked in. Okay, they are locked in to this 4 seed. So they will be starting in the lower bracket, like 100%, and they will have to win 3 games in a row to make it to Masters. And obviously, given what we've seen thus far, you know, particularly in their most recent game against Navi, obviously it didn't look very good, right? And my kind of follow-on discussion to this then. So you said that it's more likely that G2 don't make it than Vitality do. And I think, oh my God, would I put Vitality at more than 20% to make it? I don't think I would.
It's not even about that. It's like you have to think about, I mean, yeah, if you can picture the entire total 20, I mean, so a cerebral mind can do that, right? We're looking at people who might just be turning this on. The coffee's not even drank yet. Like we're talking about the listeners. You have to think about the percentages for each and every match. Yeah, you might not know the playoffs. I'll list a few teams for you here, right? It's going to 100% be one of Foot, Liquid, KC, or BBL. Like any one of those 4 teams, they're going to have to face them once. What's the percentage there from how they've played so far? Even if Vitality are good, you have to go under 50. And then after that, it's a team that just lost in the uppers. That's hella good. It could be Fnatic. It could be Heretics, either or. You never, they're not slotted in to win. Rematch against Vitality, with having the VODs of what they do, right? Based on the last match as well. After a break, take that percentage. Then it's one more game after that in a wild card, Wild West Sheriff fucking double pistol draw. You take that percentage 3 times and tell me it's over 20, because mathematically the math ain't mathing.
Yeah, even if you give them a 50-50 in every single game,
Yeah,
it's still, that's only 12.5%. So
lower than 20.
I think, but some people still think will say Vitality. I think that's the thing about this thing, because some people will just believe in EG less. Right? Like if
True.
you are if you are a true, like, there's no way G2 lose this game to EG, like that would
Yep.
just be, and I do think there is an argument that giving EG 20% is generous. A part of me is like, nah, that feels about right, and that's where I would set it. But another part of me is like, but EG don't match up well against G2. Like this is their nightmare matchup. Like this is G2's best matchup. Like what G2 should be good at, they should be able to beat EG. They should be able to just out aim EG. Like it. All of EG's win cons that they've been showing us over the past couple of games, in my mind, like theoretically, they don't play out versus G2. They just don't.
I mean, but think about it this way, right? You could literally exactly what you're saying right now. You could just replace the team name EG with 100 Thieves. You could genuinely just replace the team name EG with 100 Thieves. And I know Crowd's a shooter, right? I get it. Asena's illegal. But the way that G2 approached the game, you look at the map pool as well. If you look at Split and the way Sentinels played Split versus G2, and then saw G2 versus 100 Thieves coming up next, you'd be like, oh, well, G2 are about to fucking, absolutely lock in this one. And we're going straight all the way up top. These guys went to OT and lost on Split against 100 Thieves. I mean, I know they won the entire matchup overall. Pearl also went the fucking mega mile in distance, but G2 are stumbling, man, on these maps 2s and 3s. If we're talking about a G2 coming in hot on map 1, slamming, and then, the other team has to pick themselves up off their bootstraps, have like amazing timeouts. Wait a minute, timeouts. Have amazing like mid-game calls that react on or rely on raw aim. People playing in their prime. Prime. I feel like EG's got some. They got some boost in the sauce there. Like that's kind of what they do.
Okay. I think that's fair, and I like one discussion point I want to have in this discussion as well. Well, first, I mean, I did ask you to create all of these analogies for the teams in Pacific in Americas. I think right now would be a good time if you could give me your G2 analogy. I think now is a good time for it if you want to share with that.
Yeah, G2. There's two things. First of all, it's cool that you started off with Benjamin Button as well. I feel like these guys are fighting time travelers when they're playing these matches. I swear to God, it's crazy. In the sense of that, like they'll play that first match, they'll play the first game or whatever, but then these teams start to adapt in ways that just make G2 trip over in like ways we've never seen it. It doesn't make sense. Like the start of things are off. It's like the other teams know. And at the same time, what does that mean for G2? Whatever start you're coming in with, you have to like adapt on them. You have to write a constitution and amend it immediately. Like these guys in these maps 2s and 3s have to fight against people that already know what they're doing. They've got to be better than they are Kobe to Kanye in the crowd type speech, right? Like it's crazy. Also, I mean, we talk about how these guys take Be Heaven and Split. John QT's got the business. I think I forget who it was at 100 Thieves. They also got the business as well. It was I think it might have been EU. Oh, no, it was Boostio. These guys kind of TIE fighter, like go around people in 3v1s. I feel like that's their approach to the game. If we're going into Star Wars and these guys are the Empire, EG are the rebels, and they got that one shot for the Death Star.
Wow, that is such a good example.
One shot for the Death Star. Yeah, that's
G2
what EG have.
Empire.
And they are literally the Empire, and yeah, they've been
Planet
they've been
destroyers.
falling a little bit. It's crazy, like fucking, Ye is Valen's son. Like it goes deep. It goes hella deep. Dude, the possibilities for EG are there, but I feel like there's just a one track to it, which is like a map 2 and 3 reverse sweep win. That's what it is for EG.
Okay. I like that. To kind of close up this first question. Let's just talk about where I wanted to go with this was where we are panic levels with G2 and Vitality. So for G2, in terms of making Masters Toronto, I don't think the panic levels will be that high, right? Because we both think that they're pretty heavy favorites for this game. However, although the Rebels did win, and so spoiler alert, the Rebels did win. However, with G2, obviously their goal is not just to go to Toronto, it's to win Masters Toronto.
Yes.
where is your panic level at? Let's say G2 do win that game and they do qualify.
Mm.
But let's say they don't win Americas, right? So let's say they
Yep.
qualify, but then lose to one of EMEA or Acend at some point. What
Yep.
then would be your feeling for G2, knowing what you do now? The fact that they have gone into these games, right? And both times in the last 2 games, the 2 games they've played in playoffs, what has happened is they have dominated map 1, right? So they came out on Split, looked amazing against Sentinels. They came out on Haven against 100, dominated. They then lost a close map 2, where I think in both maps, I think they looked like the worst team. The score was close, but I think on both maps they were very clearly the worst team.
Yep.
And then obviously they lose a close map against Sen, but then win the close map against 100 Thieves. So they played 2 very, very similar games in playoffs. However, considering what they've looked like on map 1, it's like, oh yeah, this is G2. And then the other maps that they've played, where does that put you with this team? Like, where are your panic levels at in terms of like, no, they'll be fine, they'll still win Toronto or be one of the favorites, or is there like a level of you that's like, no, they're too inconsistent?
I feel like it depends on how things go after the lower round. I'm actually more confident in G2 if they lose more or if they lose Americas going into Toronto.
Okay.
I feel like if they learn everything on their soil now and have every form of loss going in, like have the coaches look at everything, because dude, that staff in the back end is nuts, and the relationship they have with the players. I have a little bit more of a insight as to who does what behind the scenes, a little bit more. There we go.
Knock my desk with my chair. Whoops.
It's all good. I feel like losing here and learning here is better for like what is needed at Toronto specifically, because Toronto is a lot more, if you look just across the world, as to what's going on right now in this lower bracket, right? And G2 are struggling a little bit in this lower bracket as well. It looks like what G2 Sen is, which is, it's not the big top teams with the coaching staff that has miles and years of experience. It's some of these underdogs who are winning the region and coming in with like fresh new strategies, coming in, adapting on map 2 and 3s, expecting to lose some of these map 1s. And that seems to be G2's kryptonite. So we figure that out here. Look at how the BO5 looks at over here as well. If we beat Sen, that's dope. I think it'll be, and that might be our finals personally. But if you can take down that set 5 and take the revenge on Sen in a BO3, cool. I don't feel like you learn as much from losing to them though. So I want to see them lose in America and then win Toronto. My panic's higher if they win, because I feel like hubris follows them across the pond, or I guess, yeah.
No, they're staying where they are. It's in Toronto. You know where Toronto is. You know where LA is.
I mean, that's 6 hours. It's across the pond. It's a
6-hour flight from LA to Toronto. Really?
If you're coming from LA to Toronto, it's actually longer, I believe, because of the winds. I take that flight a lot for casting, so it's like, yeah, it's like 5.5 there, 6.5 back.
Really? It takes that long?
Yeah.
Bro, it's like the same distance of like going across the pond. And that's how long
because I swear
to go to like New York. Yeah, from like London to New York would be about that time. And I think it's true, but I think the wind makes even more of a difference. Like I can't. Which way is it? One of them is like an hour shorter than the other way because of the wind.
No, I think going to Iceland for me is like 6.5, but coming back is like 4 hours or something. Like it's crazy.
You're going on some slow planes. yeah. I understand. Well, you before we started talking about planes, I was about to ask. Oh yeah, I was going to ask you, with your kind of mentality on G2, then, do you believe in the first seed curse? Not just for, as we've already seen it somewhat play out, in playoffs, but do you believe? Because obviously the first seeds, for those of you who don't know, who win their stage, they go straight to playoffs at Toronto. Now, last year, 3 of the teams who started as the first seed lost, and all of the teams who were the first seed went out pretty quick. None of them made the top 4, or I think maybe 100 Thieves finished 4th, but none of them made the top 3 for sure. Do you believe that getting the first seed is actually a bit of a nerf?
I think it might be a big nerf in this one, because if you just look at what the other teams who might be near Toronto are going to be practicing, even some of the tier 2 teams, they're getting ready for Sunset, man. Like Fracture's also a map that G2 just doesn't play, right? That's their permaban. And like getting practice on that map, like if you're looking at people just outside, I know they practice apparently against Ezolos a lot, but that team also wants to keep moving forward and getting better. You are pulling people behind to practice with you. You're not even practicing on peak at some of the stuff you might want to be implementing on, right? Sure, if you're going to be focusing on the 5 maps you're already good at, that's a whole different thing. But I'm thinking about even when the patch gets released, like what agents people are going to be practicing already. I feel like if you're a smart coach, you're moving away from Tejo So you're telling me G2 are sitting in the playoff bracket, having to watch VODs, but their actual practice is not going to be, is the word endemic? I don't even know. It's not going to be representative of what they're going to be playing in, right? I feel like it's a big nerf.
So you're
I
saying
feel like
that
first seed,
everyone else will already be scrimming for next year's stuff. They'll be
yeah,
having to play on like older like they won't be getting good scrims because
they might be
people,
getting good scrims, but like you're facing ghosts in TFT,
yeah,
right? To explain it, like that's the thing. They'll be there for you. You're gonna win them most likely, rather than not. But are you gonna learn as much? Like you can
yeah.
emulate what you want from the other
That's an
teams there
interesting
too.
point.
But
And not
yeah,
only
that's
that, because it's a long gap. The other thing that people might not
yeah,
realize is Toronto doesn't start till the 7th of June, I think.
yeah.
So it's something like that. The playoffs for Americas ends on May the 4th. There is a whole month. Whoever gets the 1 seed in Americas and China, add another week to Toronto as well, because they're not playing a Swiss stage. They won't be playing for like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
They will. That is insane. That is an insane amount of time. Now, of course, you can cook up a ton of stuff in 6 weeks. Like you've got a full break to cook up. You can completely redesign your map pool if you wanted to, and come out with a ton of new stuff if you wanted to. But if you're a team who's won a region, do you want to change that much? Like you'll probably have a couple maps that you want to change, but like,
yeah.
Well, we won on all these other maps quite consistently. So do we change that, or do we just stick with it? It's going to be a very strange. Cause there's never been a Masters like that. Surely we have never had a Masters where there's been such a massive break between like finishing your stage and then actually playing in it.
I think the only thing we've seen so far is just that one region, China, like in January.
Yeah,
that 2-week gap.
Yeah, they did.
And they tried to. I feel like it just hemorrhaged them because half the teams almost learned Yoru. They once again had to scrim against their own region, right? They weren't already over here. And you had Trace, who was caught halfway between looking lost on Lotus being their best map, and then Kong Kong having to fight like people with cybernetic armor with his spears and arrows. Like it's crazy, man. They almost made it, but didn't make it at all. Yeah.
Okay, I want to move on then to our second question. Second question is just a straight up. It's two teams that I think most people wouldn't have that higher percentage, but it's two teams maybe you could, convince yourself or maybe have a chance. And these teams are, is it more likely that Navi make it to Masters Toronto or Paper Rex?
Navi or Paper Rex? Okay. So, like, I have analogies for Paper X. I have thoughts on Navi. Man. Do you want me to start with Paper X?
You can start with Paper Rex just to show people the bracket. Paper Rex are in the lowest. They have to win 3 games in a row. It will be against T1, Boom, and then one of DRX, Talon, or Nongshim. But they definitely have to go through T1 and Boom. Go with Paper Rex.
I think that Paper X are more likely to win than Navi, personally.
Okay, even though they start lowers.
Even though they're starting lowers, and that's because of what I have set up for Paper X, like for their kind of run overall. If I could go back to the back, there we go. I'm locked in myself. So like this will kind of, I mean, maybe we'll wait for T1 for me to drop this banger, but Paper X, like if you guys ever watched Ready Player One, or like you've played a video game that has like a wall skip in it, these guys need to find the wall skip. They need to run the race backwards and somehow make it like through underneath the track on everyone else. The track also being relevant because track by track for Paper X. Role issues, performance issues. I just feel like the team has all the problems, but coming into things now, we've had enough of a break. There's a little bit of a reset. And the most important thing about PRX is that, they might have like a burning duplex, but there's mansions losing their foundations across them, right? Like T1 coming off of like a very close, or I guess a stompage against DRX, a boom. Like these guys were on the 747 up top, making that Iceland trip in 30 minutes, TMV. But the reason I take 6 hours is because in case the turbine engine goes down, I'm not in the ocean. Like these guys, right? And now they're here for the first time. Their first loss, by the way, in playoffs. How did they react to that, right? And now there's big teams coming for them who have their own story. There's just other storylines happening all the way across. I feel like PRX could just like tiptoe through the background and make it through playing their own thing. That's my thing. Like kind of like Tom is like doing the elaborate traps for Jerry, and Jerry's just sitting behind him like, oh, that's so cool, bro. Like, what the fuck's going on here? Like that could be PRX, because all these other teams are fucking like hiring engineers, fucking DEF CON 9, 7 presidents elected to figure out what's going wrong. And PRX just seen a game.
I think that's a fair point. That everything was on fire in Paper Rex land, but now it feels like things have, like settled down a bit, right? They're in a normal spot. And all of a sudden, their fire has spread to the other teams that they're about to play.
rises.
The T1 buildings, there's some smoke coming out of that. That boom building doesn't look so good all of a sudden. That is true. That they're potentially catching these teams at a good time. I mean, again, I would argue that catching T1 at any point in this stage has been a pretty good time, because I don't think they've played well in any single game that they've played since winning Masters. And I think, look, I've been bold on this stance, this anti-T1 stance, because I just haven't been impressed with them this whole time. I think it hasn't happened right now, but when T1 don't qualify, and whether that's losing to, I mean, especially if they lose to Paper X, but even if they just don't qualify, people will start to talk about T1. People always try and do this, by the way, with every team who wins that then doesn't win another or goes deep in another international. Everyone tries to say, like with EDG, fraudulent run. It was a fraudulent run. And the thing is, if they don't make it, this is the most true a fraudulent run has ever been.
Man,
if they don't make Masters Toronto, this is the most fraudulent run there's ever been in Valorant history. Let me explain why. Coming into Masters, everyone and their nan had T1 rated as the 8th best team. Every single person thought the T1 weren't that good. That's the thing. You have to get that in your head. That's what we thought after kickoff, that this team is okay, but not that great. People thought Trace were better than T1 going into Masters Bangkok. They then win Masters Bangkok. They then have not looked good for an entire game during the entire stage. They played 5 games at best looking average. That's fraudulent right there.
That is fraudulent.
If they don't make it to Masters, they're frauds.
It's true. I have to agree. And if you look at how T1 actually won, it's another Bane situation. It's another born in it, molded by it. You merely adopted the fire, right? Every team that made the playoffs were in this kind of Tejo ruckus. And there was one team that kind of stuck to their bones, that kind of plays through the fire, and they won. And I'm talking about PRX. Oh, wait a minute. My timeline got mixed up, right? I'm looking at a place of fire. Everybody's confused as to what to do from losses, but PRX have been losing, right? So they're the T1 of Bangkok right now.
You think they're going to win Masters?
Just look.
You think they're going to win Toronto? Paper X, say it now. If you say it now and it happens, it'll be the greatest thing that's ever happened.
No. I'm talking about PRX in the playoffs. In the playoffs. I can't claim. That's crazy. It's crazy to claim Toronto for PRX. Man. That's crazy.
That would be crazy.
If the win condition, if you're in an international Masters in the playoffs, right? The win condition there for a team is to win. If you're a team inside a qualifier to qualify to a Masters, the win condition is to qualify. The mega win condition, the bonus stars to show to your mom and she hangs it on the fridge, is getting first place, getting the seed. The first win condition is qualifying. So for PRX, they are the T1 of Bangkok inside these qualifiers. If you truly think about how we rated T1 back then, both me and you live, and how everyone's rating PRX now, and the context of the situation now. Honestly speaking, if you're a betting man, I'd bet on PRX qualifying 100%.
Really?
That's a strong 70% qualifier.
Okay.
Every other team's on fire.
Okay. I see. When I wrote this question, I wrote for the first one, I wrote discuss where both these teams are, where your panic level is for both. For after this question, my discussion point was why Paper X don't have an actual chance. Let me explain. Let me put some. I don't know. I'm not even putting water on this fire. I'm putting one of those fireman blankets that just instantly just gone straight away. I'm literally taking the oxygen out of the fire. It is no fire anymore. They beat DFM and Global. I feel like a lot of the Paper X hopium is coming from this. However, when I watch these games, did they play better than they had previously? Yeah. I mean, there was, but I don't think the improvement was that big, because I think they were just playing against better teams and they were winning a map against all these teams anyway. The thing is, when they lost these 3 in a row, it wasn't as bad as people thought. And when they've won these 2 in a row, it's not as good as people thought. They didn't improve loads. They got maybe a bit better, but played just against much worse teams.
Yeah,
but now they're playing against T1. Like, could they beat T1 with how T1 have looked? Like, yeah, they do have a chance. And like that, the case for Paper Rex is the fact that unless the problem for them, I think, would be is it's likely that DRX go through to that 3rd game, and I think DRX will just be too good for them. Right? Like, if they were playing DRX in this game and not T1, this first one, I'd say they almost have no chance.
It's really rough. So I think the hardest thing they have is that lower round 3, and it's probably going to be against DRX.
Yeah.
For me, like if you're looking at things and you might not be following APAC either, the advantage PRX have is that yes, against every good team, against every Steph Curry, they've been trying to post up and they've been shooting threes against them. Or there's been a Steph Curry shooting threes against them over and over again in APAC. Right now, Steph has bricked his last 3, and this coach has said, drive in and go for a layup. And PRX of the team in front of both Steph Currys who are trying to switch up things possibly against how they approach the game, right? Like Boom have been flawless. Team have been doing their own thing. Maybe their shot percentage is not as high as other teams, but they have a chance against T1, and Boom will be making adjustments. I mean, we've only seen them improve. Yes, honestly, make adjustments like in that week 3, week 4 matchup as well. Like they came in doing crazy different things, right? It's not the same as week 1, but at the same time, like off a loss, a team can be very different if it's their first loss in a long time. And like, correct me if I'm wrong, Boom's like one of the Ascension teams, right?
They are.
Yeah. So like, that's again, brand new operations behind the scenes. PRX sometimes are just kind of facing themselves, man. Do we even know if PRX know who they're facing on the week? Like in terms of how they play sometimes? I don't know. So if they're good against themselves, if they've got it locked in and people are making adjustments, I mean, we'll go back to the OG question as well.
Yeah.
This is up against Navi, right?
Yeah.
Like,
let's focus on Navi.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at Paper X taking a map off, making things close against other teams, I feel like Navi have got this huge boost because they beat Vitality. Bro, I can also go and beat up the man with a limp across the street. You know what I'm saying? Like, Navi have been bricked against Heretics, bricked against Fnatic. And they've also beat the DFM and the fucking the global of their region, right? Like it's the same situation, but I see O2s and I see maximum bricks, man, and struggles actually against the DFM and the what's it called? Okay, the 13-0 as well, but man, again, like I feel like
this wasn't close.
Yeah, like it was destruction against the teams that they're actually going to be, I think, going up against. Maybe they have a little chance of the lowers, but again, from what we're seeing across the world, the lowers will have a Titan in them. I want to see Fnatic and Heretics just push all the way through. But I think because they are on the same side of the bracket, one of them has to go down, right? I'm not even sure how the playoffs are going to, I mean, maybe they might not be. We have a entire
maybe the EMEA playoffs will never happen, to be honest. Maybe it'll never happen. But
yeah,
if I was going to give the case for Navi in this question, the case would be that they're not starting in the lowers, right? That they don't insta start in the lowers. They have a chance, albeit you might say small, but they have a chance of playing. Let's say KC do beat Liquid and KC are the other second seed, right? Can Navi beat KC on a given day? Yeah, maybe, right? Then let's say, they go, I don't know whether the 3rd seed plays. I think they would play the 1st seed of their own group, which, it wouldn't be ideal. That would be tough.
Yeah.
That would be tough. I think that's how the playoffs work out, though, as well. I don't think, like, if they would then play BBL, you could really make a case for, like,
really? I would just say at that point.
You think like, even BBL? I think you could make a case for Navi being BBL. But not that they would favor it, but I think you could make a case that they would.
Yes, you can make a case. Yeah.
But against Fnatic and or Heretics or now Fnatic, whoever won that, I would less say. You know what? I think you convinced me though. I think I was gonna say Navi for this, but I think what is the chances of Navi making a run through the uppers? I think is very slim. So essentially, if I'm already saying Navi are in the lowers, I think Paper Rex probably do, given the teams that they're probably likely to play against. Like, because that's the thing. Their hope is that, I don't know, if you're a Paper Rex fan, you are hoping that, like, Talon beat DRX. Right? You want, like, Talon, and then Paper Rex turn up, and Talon turn into pumpkins again. Like, that is what you want. And then you play a bad T1, a Boom that's scared of their own shadow, and like, a Talon who flips a coin and decides whether they're good or not.
Yeah,
and you could actually make that run.
Yeah, they 100. It just makes
That's
sense. Like,
crazy. I was literally coming here. I'm gonna be like, oh, good. He said Paper Rex, so I'm gonna pick Navi because obviously it's not Paper Rex. But
yeah,
I think you've actually convinced me.
it's just more likely based on what like Navi have to do and based on like, dude, just run all the simulations.
But
For
what's
EMEA.
interesting is we're
Yeah,
basing Paper X's good chances of the counter narrative of what everyone's been saying all year. Everyone has said all year Pacific is the best region because they've got all these amazing teams. Now we're saying Paper X, who aren't that good, have a chance
yeah,
because all these teams are crumbling in the playoffs, but Navi have no chance because there's too many good teams in the EMEA.
yeah. When like we historically know that EMEA is filled with like fodder and like
Yeah.
3 teams that we thought that were the best. It's opposite in all ways, but I feel like who's going to Toronto already across the world kind of signifies that, right? Like things are flipped. It's a table flip kind of narrative right now inside the world of Valorant. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But that's cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting to mention.
It
This
is
reverse
interesting.
narrative.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So I guess we're saying
Yeah.
Paper Rex are more likely to go than Navi, despite Paper Rex having to win 3 games in a row and looking pretty mid throughout the entire
Yeah.
year. But I guess that's where we are. Okay, we're gonna flip back to Americas.
Oh, snap! What's left here?
And we're gonna flip back to EG. We're gonna talk EG
Oh,
for
okay.
question number 3. My question to you is this: is it more likely that EG make it to Toronto and Ye is the highest rated player at Masters Toronto, or EMEA does not have a single tech pause over 10 minutes, over 2 minutes, sorry, during the entire playoffs?
The entire playoffs?
The entire playoffs. They cannot
entire
have a tech
playoffs.
pause over 2 minutes. Or Ye goes to Toronto and is the highest rated player.
Fucking Chamber just got pre-patch, baby. Ye's the highest rated player. I feel like that's 10 times more likely than this fucking shit, bro. These guys just got new PCs. They're probably not gonna have time to test it.
What if I said 10 minute? What if it was 10 minute tech pause for EMEA?
No.
You still would take Ye.
They're about to, yeah. You would have to say like 2 or 3 hours minimum for that place, bro. There's no way because they're working on fixes. If this was like week 2 of the fixes, I'd maybe take you up on like the 10-minute one. But just coming out of things, I guarantee you, we're gonna see like I don't know who are we gonna see on Team Liquid. We're gonna see Nats like with a pistol ace and then straight into a tech pause, like on a replayed split. That's what's gonna happen next week. I swear to God.
Okay. I mean, okay. Let's start with EG though. Let's talk about EG.
Okay. Yeah.
And talk about Ye and his resurgence because I mean, like obviously everyone kind of wants, and we're about to watch an ace by the way, of Ye.
Yep.
Everyone wants to believe in like this Ye resurgence, and we've seen some good moments. I think one thing that people forget, to be honest, like when we're saying Prime Ye is back, I hate to break it to you, even with this ace, Prime Ye is not back. You know why?
Why?
Because Prime Ye was so unbelievably good that even him playing well again, like he's just playing what like good.
Yeah.
He's just playing really well. But
Yeah.
Prime Ye, again, I just want to point out to everyone, Ye did not go negative in an entire, I think, was it map or series?
Yeah.
I think
it was a series. It was a straight up series.
He didn't do that for an entire year. Like a
Yeah.
full calendar year of not having a single game where Optic at the point were playing a lot of games because they famously would start tournaments slow, go to lowers, and then run it all the way back and end up going deep in these tournaments all the time. And Ye was still not going negative at any point.
Yeah.
Like this is a prime, like people, like if people don't understand, the highest peak of any Valorant player ever is definitely Ye, and I don't even think it's close.
Damn. Okay, that's answering like other questions that could pop up where people are like, would you take tens in his prime? Would you take like prime Nats on like Gambit? Would you?
I think Ye was the most dominant player for an extended period of time. Optic Ye 2022 was the most dominant player. I would wager. Well, I mean, Valorant could be going for a long time. but I would wager for a decent amount of time that will be the case. It will take.
I think it might be forever.
It might be
stand on
forever. I
business.
didn't want to
Yeah.
say forever because forever is a long time. But
But a whole season, man. Like,
But for
you think
someone
about
to
the
put up his numbers whole season at this point in the game's life cycle, like that's the
Yeah.
thing. People are now good at it. Like everyone is pretty good at the game. And I think it's fair to say, although, you know, probably most people would say that like Aspas is the, you know, like GOAT of Valorant, like, you know, it's not like clear that he is. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
not like
yeah,
there's
yeah.
no debate. It's not like Faker in League, right? Where it's just like, well, obviously it's Faker, like, and obviously, you know, he's just been the GOAT. You know, there isn't
Yeah.
like a clear answer to that. And I don't think at this point, like, you know, you could argue that, hey, if Durka and Vitality run it back and turned into the super team that was promised, and you know somehow won champs, and then next year Durka won another tournament and stuff like that, people would, and Aspas didn't win any tournaments, people would probably say, oh, now Durka's the GOAT, right? Like,
Yeah, that's ironically like T1's run in League of Legends, where it's like horrible split, championship win, and then amazing split, championship win, and then like, okay, Faker's the GOAT. There's like
yeah,
no debate. Like,
yeah.
even if another person won for 5 more years, like it doesn't matter. Like what the
Yeah,
guy did is just the
but
GOAT.
we definitely aren't there yet. But
Yeah.
I think it'll be tough to supplant Prime Ye. So I personally don't think Prime Ye is back. I think Ye is just playing pretty well.
Damn. Okay. I mean, in that case, I'd have to agree with you because we have to look at kind of the formula, right? Really quickly, I'll dive into the formula of Prime EA, which was Valorant back then. Like to have a good season entirely means that you are on track with the meta of that season. And Valorant back then made changes like yearly to VCT. Now it's like per season we get the change. Not only was it like a map or Asian release, but Chamber was busted for so long they didn't change that, and he was on top of Chamber the entire time. Also, the meta that was there that he was like the king of was an agent being broken meta, not like a like playstyle being broken,
Yeah.
or like, you know, Tejo's broken now, but like that agent had a free guardian every round and a free op every 2 rounds if you were good at the game, and this guy was going positive every map. So it's like, you know, I don't think we're going to be in that situation ever again where an individual has that much firepower. Also, at the first half of the year, you could teleport across the map and you had 2 trips. In the second half of the year, you couldn't do that as much. But actually, I'm not even sure that changed that fast. Like, I got.
They got rid of one trip fairly early, but you could still teleport
you could still
across
go,
the map.
Bind was in the game, and you could just be
rotate.
You could be on Bind anywhere you wanted, just in general. Like, oh, you know, how do you avoid OSPOS? You go to the different site, right?
No.
Interview from some team in 2024. Back in 2022, you would finish the match, go to sleep, and hear the rendezvous, and get fucking opt out of your dreams. It was fucked.
yeah, he was
fucked.
appearing in your dreams. He's TPN.
Fucking. You want to play? Let's play. It's too much.
Yeah,
but yeah, in that case, like,
because you're right, because like Teo is broken right now, but in terms of like a solo player carrying the game, there will never be anything like Chamber ever again. I mean, they're like at this point, like when they release Waylay and stuff, right? Like you see Waylay's Refract, and you're like, if Waylay came out in 2022, Waylay would probably be broken to fuck. There probably wouldn't be a timer on it. It'd probably just be like, do it wherever you want. You could probably like place 3 of them and like have your pick of which one you wanted to go back to. Like at this point, I think that Chamber made them learn their lesson. They're never going to release another agent that like can solo carry as much as Chamber could.
Yeah.
Like, because even if Teo is broken, it's broken in like a team way, you know? Oh, like you can do missiles every 40 seconds. Like, you know, it's but it's not like a Teo is going to statistically completely take over. But anyway, let's go back to the EMEA side of this. So, well, in fact, if EG did go to Toronto, where would, like, let's say again, they beat G2, they go to Toronto, but let's say they don't finish first seed.
Yeah.
Do you think they would have a chance of doing anything at all?
Dude, if EG go to Toronto, bro, and they bust up the Death Star. I mean, what happens afterwards in the sequels? They bust up the fucking Planet Killer again, right? Like in The Last Jedi, like they fucking supersonic jet speed through 2 fucking ships like we've never seen before. These guys are winning Toronto. If they're
you believe in the story.
Yeah, if they're in like actual Toronto, they got the shawarma to eat afterwards, right? They got the air of the Toronto, the city. Like, I don't know what hotel they're going to be staying at, but hopefully that's dope too. On home turf, not jet lagged. Like these guys are. I believe in the story. I think the harder part for EG is getting through this little a mashup here, and then internationally, we're jamming. I think it's definitely possible.
I think it would. I think we would see. I think EG would struggle against the EMEA teams and be good against
True.
everyone else. I think
Yeah.
the EMEA teams would
Ooh.
watch EG play slow and be like, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
we played against Vitality. We're aware. We're aware of how
True.
this works. We've beat
Yeah.
Vitality a couple times already this split. But I think against Pacific, China, and the other Americas teams, like yeah, I could see them having an actual decent chance of people, because like EG, every game they've played so far in the playoffs, there's like a good probably like 5 rounds in every map where they just find like 3 free kills because they've
Yeah.
just taken their time. The other teams have either got bored and pushed into them, or like don't know what to do like this late in the like. Because when it gets to 20 seconds in the round,
Yeah.
like I swear to God, that if it's 20 seconds into the round and you're doing an exec, I swear the attacking win rate is actually very good if like you just have to get the spike down, because defenders panic and they think if I just deny the spike, we can win the round. And they make a bad choice trying to just stop the spike, run into it. So like if you're thinking about playing EG and it's like there's 30 seconds left in the round. Okay, oh, we've heard some noise A. They're going A. Turret gets broken in mid. Now, if turret gets broken in mid with a minute left, you know what to do. But with they've only got 20 seconds. Do I watch this guy in mid or do I try and stop the spike? Like you're Sova with an ult. What do you do? Oh shit! I'll ult the spike. Oh shit! He killed me. The guy in mid just killed me for free. Like that's the kind of shit that it seems to happen for EG all the time, where it's just like, oh, they've got 3 lurks going on, but there's only 10 seconds left in the round, so people are just fucking running to try and stop stuff, and then they all die, and it's like, oh, good job, EG. It won again. Good job. Anyway, let's talk about EMEA. Oh, sorry, you go. And
no,
then
last note. If you commented 3 minutes ago saying Shire, you're an idiot, how would EG make a run in Masters? You're correct. I like to resend that statement. I forgot about China being there right now. I think they're the kings of when 20 seconds happens, they don't fucking choke, man. Like Wolves, Lysor, this guy will make the right play. I don't give a fuck.
Lysor
like
will make the right play.
Yeah, Zli live in the last 20 seconds, bro. These are like Zli, my bad. If I've said it wrong both ways 8 times according to 5 different people. But anyways, XLG, like, dude, I just feel like EG actually have a tough time, especially as you mentioned, EMEA low time, China low time. They mess with that too.
But Pacific, they have a good chance against though. Pacific will just run into them.
Yes. But the other regions, I mean, you got 4 other teams or 6 other teams to look at. That might be difficult.
Okay, let's talk about the EMEA side of this, right? Because I don't want to. We don't need to hop. You've already given your opinion that the tech board is definitely will be coming. Where I want to pivot this to is is they have a decision to make right now about the Team Liquid versus Calming Core game. Okay, so for those of you who have been sleeping under a rock, I'm sure most of you are aware, but the Team Liquid versus Calming Core game got called off, and after the first map, it's still live here according to VLR, still going on.
Longest match.
Split was 13-6.
Yep.
And there is thoughts. There's been tweets. Like Nats tweeted out, I think that longest game in EMEA and it might not, longest map in EMEA and might not even count, all that kind of stuff, because they might decide to just replay the game at 0-0. Now, yesterday when we were talking about this on Plat Chat, it was brought up that like there is no good decision, right? If you decide to start at 0-0, Team Liquid will rightfully be pissed because they had to play in those. It might not have always been their PCs that were, it was happening to, but we saw it happen to Kiko, so we definitely know that it did happen to them at least at one point. And they had to play, coming back after all the tech pauses and stuff like that, and they won, and we had 12 rounds of, unfiltered gameplay, and, Liquid looked like the better of the 2 teams for sure. And so they'll say, we won the map fair and square, right? Calming Core will say, it affected us more than Team Liquid, in crucial spots. Like they said, Sugetsu had, frame rate drop and was lagging during a 1v1, right? Obviously not ideal. And they will say, if you give them the map and we stay in the match, well, they can just prep for Icebox because we picked Icebox and they now know that we're playing Icebox, and so they can just put literally a week of prep into one map or the last two maps, and they know what they're going to play, and so that's also unfair. So either way, it's a bad choice, right? Either way you do this, someone is going to get screwed. My question to you, though, Shio, is if you were EMEA, what would you do? What do you think is the best option for them to take?
I think they already screwed it up if they're planning to make the match this Friday, but on Monday, aka today, or no, it's Tuesday now. Jesus Christ! So it's been a while now. They needed that out. Yeah, hello. You got two options, right? So the way that KC are saying it, which is like, yo, we lagged, like the whole last map was lag, yada yada yada. My brother, every single team has had tech pauses sometimes for 4 hours. So the one option is if you're gonna replay that map, let's replay the week, because everyone else is playing under the same conditions anyways in that lag. And we have those wins recorded from some of the other teams. They've gone through the same issues. You guys played the map, you played the map. So I don't think it's possible to go back and replay that map. Everybody's been under that position now. That's where it is. It's a map that finished. You lock it in. Now that one was one of the most, obtuse, like fucking sticking out of the way matches in terms of the amount of tech pauses. We did have a run of 12 rounds where these guys were getting diffed, but I imagine they were also claiming big lag. But I feel that's been happening in other teams, right? Maybe that was happening in other 2-0s. Maybe that 13-0 from Navi is fraudulent because Giants was lagging the whole time too. Like, if you go back, let's look for a tech pause in that match, right? Like, let's look for a coach, like, and what they're saying. If I'm EMEA though, because things do need to change, I feel like it's kind of unfortunate to just have the map, or the maps that are being played stay the same. You redraft the end of the bans, and that way, even if it is Icebox and whatever the final map is, the team accepts that going into it, right? Like, they prep for that. It is what it is. But they needed to announce that like on Monday, so these teams have the time to either prep for, an Icebox not being there and what are the rest of the maps, or just prep with that in mind. Right now, both these teams are prepping for Icebox and whatever the fuck the last map is. If they come in now on Wednesday or Thursday and be like, guys, and honestly, it'll be on the day of, we're redrafting things, that's going to piss off everyone even more. Because now KC are going to be like, okay, we could go somewhere else, but they also practice the same maps. And Liquid are going to be the most pissed because they're like, guys, we're about to win, and you just throw KC this bone. Like, what the hell is that? So I feel like EMEA have dug themselves into a second hole, right? Quicksand on one way, and you bring your phone out to call the police, and then a Venus flytrap grabs your phone, or that falls into the quicksand as well. Like, you fucked up twice. I don't know how, because you're already sinking. Like, come on, guys. We need comms now, but a redraft of maps, I think, is the most fair thing to both teams, and they're kind of accepting what's going on. You have to keep the 1-0. I'm sorry, but like everyone else played in the lag as well. If it was as bad as it was on this day, it is what it is. We've had 3 years of it, right? Like, that's my take.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. You have to keep the 1-0. I completely agree. You literally have to keep the 1-0, because if you don't, if you say you're going back, then you set a very, 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 very bad precedent for the rest of VCT. Like, throughout all of the future of VCT, like, because then it just becomes, well, at what level of tech pause do you not count a map?
Yep.
And that is an unanswerable question that will be different to every single person, right? We have had, as you have said, there's been many tech pauses in many games before, and as soon as a map is finished, it's always counted. Now, you could argue that, hey, like, this is a one-off because the rest of the day got cancelled, right? But you did get through a map with major tech pauses. The map did end, and that has happened before, and those map counted. So, yeah, I'm totally with you. You have to keep the 1-0. I think that you're probably right that if they are going to say... And if I was Riot, I would probably go to both teams and ask them. Or I would ask, like, I would say, okay, Team Liquid, we've kind of thrown you a bone with the 1-0, right? Like, we're keeping the map. But KC, it's up to you whether you want to redo. So you're saying, like, you redo from here, right? So these last 4 maps, KC, so the first 3 maps have been picked. They're done. Those maps are over. These last 4 maps, KC, if you want to pick Haven instead, you can pick Haven, right?
And we'll can ban.
And Liquid, you can do what you want after that, right? Yeah, like.
Like KC have the advantage there on picking basically the last 2 maps. And like I think it should be more of like a OR gate. Is it an OR gate or is it an AND gate? I'm not even sure. Where like you just ask both teams, and like if there's one yes, or if there's 2 yeses, it goes. If there's 1 yes, yeah, it is an AND gate actually. That's multiplication. If it's 1 yes and 1 no, then we just do a no, and it doesn't matter what team it is. If Liquid wants to switch it up, that's dope. If KC wants to switch it up, that's dope. That's all it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably the best way to do it. And I mean, they don't have to announce it, I suppose, as long as both teams know it, it won't be too big of a deal. But yeah,
True, yeah,
I think they
that's
have
true.
to keep the 1-0. And yeah, I think just asking both teams whether they want to do a redraft or not is probably the fairest way of doing it.
I hope
I
they've asked. I just hope they've asked
I
now.
feel like they won't. I feel like they'll play,
Jeez.
because generally I think when the companies are in this kind of spot where there's a problem, always the solution they go for is to just don't mess with things the minimum amount that you can, and people will just forget
Yeah,
it and they'll move on.
I know, but it sucks. Like,
Whereas if you make big changes,
yeah,
people will, the outrage will be there more. Someone will be
I know.
annoyed.
We forget sometimes, and this happened. This happened in like previous weeks where there's bugs or there's issues between players or whatever it is, drama. We're playing we're watching a video game. This is not a shareholder meeting. This is not a we're selling paper clips to like different companies. You know, like we could just make it up as we go. That's the most beautiful thing about this entire process of doing this, right? Like sometimes I just get jaded over the fact that like the grassroots was left so far behind, and like there are faces that can just make changes, and like someone could be like, "That's not right. A company wouldn't do that." Absolutely, it's a fucking video game. Just switch it up. Like that's the advantage we have. We can just do weird stuff. We don't have to abide by a law, but at the same time, it's like you need these laws because it's official teams, millions of dollars. Like, anyways, that's a whole different conversation. I'm here.
Yeah, let's
I'm back.
let's move on to the fourth question. My fourth question to you then is this: a Chinese team not named EDG wins Masters Toronto,
Yeah.
or no America's team gets in the top 4.
A Chinese team wins, or no America team gets
in the
top
top 4 of Toronto.
of Toronto. And how many teams are there in Toronto?
There are 12.
There are 12 total
And
teams.
3 teams are from Americas.
And 4 of them are going to be in the playoffs immediately. And top 4 would be winning 1 map in the playoffs. No, top 4 will be winning 2 maps.
Yeah, you win 2 to get to the top 4. Or 3 if you go to lowest.
Oh, jeez. There's nah. A Chinese team is more likely to win. That's not ED. Oh, that's not EDG.
That's not EDG.
Well, EDG aren't even. They're not even making.
Well, they're
it this
not
year, right?
technically
So,
making it, but I thought if I put EDG in there, you might be like, oh yeah, EDG could go on a run.
yeah, EDG could always go on a run, couldn't they?
So a Chinese team wins Toronto. They have to actually win the whole thing, or no America's team gets top 4.
This is such a Wolves psyop question because now I have to like believe in Wolves to win, and it's gonna stick with me as I leave this podcast.
Or
as well.
XLG. Or Billy
XLG.
Billy if they beat EDG.
Or, yeah, I don't, dude. Billy, I don't even want to get started. Fuck. I think it's more likely a Chinese team wins it up. That's not.
Wow.
That's not EDG. Honestly, I think it's even if EDG qual, I think it's more likely that
Wolves or XLG win Masters Toronto. Yes, rather than Americans, no America's team finishing in the top 4. You really think that's more likely?
Yeah, I think.
Explain
like,
why.
Well, like, dude, like just the Sen effect in general, right? Like these guys, I feel like at this point now can make it that far. Like they can get the 2 playoffs wins. One of these teams too, even MIBR, like these guys are MIBR specifically are insane, man. Like they're a structured, like those 2 Lego pieces sometimes you want to just get apart. Like you're telling me that first try I'm ripping those 2 Lego pieces that never come apart. Like their structure is solid. They got the aimers. I don't think the way that America's looks right now that these teams flop out. And I feel like the way that China is looking right now, or is looking like right now, they have a chance of actually being good and coming in. I know that it's not like some of the typically of the toppest teams we might have expected to qualify. I'm not talking about Wolves, but like it's they got some sauce. Do they get absolutely steamrolled by like the top of EMEA? Probably, yeah. Do they get claimed by NA as well? Yes, but like you're telling me, so if China, this is the thing. If I'm wrong about China, then NA is getting top four, right?
That's
Because
a
they would
fair
be beating
point. Yeah.
China. That's the thing. Like if I'm thinking about it, actually true. Like there's three teams from China that are there too, and there's one guaranteed inside the playoffs. Um, like I have NA winning that match if it does happen, and it might have to happen. If not, China will probably lose that match. So, you know, NA have to beat like one EMEA and one Pacific team, and it's MIBR, Sen, or G2 that do it. I think that's way more than likely than China going the whole way through with what they have right now. And then that's what I'm
Well,
saying, right? Like,
I think
yeah,
it's an interesting question because I think it's another one where do people really believe in XLG or Wolves to go and win Masters Toronto? Absolutely not. I don't think if you got. I wonder how many people you would have to like seriously get to pred Masters Toronto before someone said XLG or Wolves are going to win it. It'd probably be quite a lot.
yeah. But
But
then how many? I don't think you'd have a single
that
pick'ems
doesn't
without
have a
any
single
team in the top
America's
four.
team. I mean,
Yeah,
there will be an America's hater. Trust me, that doesn't have an
yeah. Okay.
America's
Oh,
team in the
true,
top
true,
four.
true.
But you're right. Like, if you just assume, I mean, that's the thing. It is difficult for a non-America's team, like, because like, especially if G2 go. If
Yeah,
EG go, you could definitely make the case that EG, oh no, they won't make it through group stage. So that's one team out. But if G2 go,
yeah,
I think most people will have G2, MIBR, Sen, whichever two are starting in Swiss. I think most people will have them getting out of Swiss.
yeah. Most
If you
likely.
got three teams in the playoffs, I mean, it's almost impossible for them to
Yeah.
not finish top four. Like,
Mhm.
it is almost
And the
impossible. The
strength of those
bracket would
three
have to turn
teams,
out in a way where they don't play each other as well. Like, it would
yeah,
actually almost be impossible. So,
literally.
yeah, that is quite tough. But then at the same point, like, I mean, even as someone who's a Wolves fan, how
Yeah,
likely are Wolves or XLG actually to win this event? I mean, we've already seen T1 win this event, and as I said, people thought that they were worse than Trace. So maybe it could happen. Honestly, maybe that is the more likely, which is crazy because you would say like the case for saying that it isn't the Americas teams is
mhm,
saying that they flop out in. I would say that the likely scenario. See, it's interesting now that I'm thinking about it. I think that if Sen were in Swiss or G2 were in Swiss, I think Sen have a better chance of getting out of Swiss than G2.
yeah. The G2, I would agree with that. Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
crazy, isn't it? That
Yeah,
is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
But yeah, Sen just aren't losing in Swiss. I
Yep.
mean, they might lose a game, but they're definitely making it through.
They
100%.
might
I
flop
have
like
like
first
no
round
doubt.
playoffs. They might flop like 100%. I have that theory that first round playoffs flop, but out of Swiss, all the teams that are coming in, center definitely that's your
Especially with
playground.
the probably a home crowd buff as well. You'd assume in
Bro, it's
Toronto
gonna
that
be nuts.
it's
Yeah,
going to be a
a
lot of Sen
shawarma in
fans
between
there.
games. Yeah, it's my question is this to you inside this
On.
question. What is the gap between Chinese teams and other teams? Is it just like how they pilot Tejo in the like the meta is the Tejo core, kind of, right? And if you're not doing that, it's the double duelist. Usually sometimes with Tejo as well. It should be paired with Breach, honestly, but like teams like the post plant, like what is the biggest gap in China? Because for me, if it's skill, like I'm looking at Rarga, I'm looking at like XLG in
It's
general,
not skill.
they kind
The
of
the player it's
yeah,
not player skill.
it can't be player
It's
skill.
not
Like
player
even
skill.
with
I think
Spring,
it's just some decision making is what I
yeah,
would put it down to. Is the discipline sometimes still isn't there in terms of and to be fair, like look, that's the thing, right? I think that the top Chinese teams, like your XLGs and your Wolves, I would put it like a similar level of maybe the playoff teams that are just missing out
mhm,
from other regions. Where, because I don't know who's a good example, right? Like let's say like a Cloud9 or a Crew,
yeah,
right? Like the people had hope for in the playoffs, or maybe thought could go to Masters, like realistically. I would put those teams on a similar level to like XLG and Wolves, where definitely the
mhm,
player skill is there. I kind of have
yeah,
no doubt about that, to be honest. Honestly, it is kind of crazy there is such parity between the regions. Like it is just absolutely insane. Every time I think about it, like there is simply no other esport where you can be from any country and it means nothing in terms of like where people would rate you as a player. Like there's
Yeah.
no bias. You can literally be from anywhere in the world and it'd be like, well, I've got to see them play. It's not like
Yeah.
there's a small thing I think about like, oh, in EMEA, like Turkish players being kind of
Yeah.
cracked and insane.
Yep.
But other than that, literally every other region, it feels like, well, there's no difference, right? There's no
Yeah,
difference of like where you're from. It doesn't matter. It's honestly that what an absurd game this is. But yeah, I think the Chinese teams, like that's the thing. To me, it's like asking the question, like, could Cloud9 win Masters?
Different map pool, definitely, because I'm thinking about like,
And yeah, I
the
think there
differences
is
for these
still a
teams, too.
shout. Like, could
Yeah.
they get hot? And I think that's where I am with XLG and Wolves. Like, if they got
Mhm.
hot at the right time, you just never know. And like with this game as
Actually.
well, like you just never know.
Because I'm thinking about it more. I feel like if it is like kind of the preparation and the decision making, like, you know, I think it's a big nerf for China not having Bind, Sunset, like even Breeze maybe in the pool. Because like when you have maps like Fracture, Haven, Lotus, like in the business, and you have to play, you know, one of these three usually every single time, your game relies a little bit more on macro, and it relies a little bit more on conditioning and like things that like maybe these teams that might be a little bit behind in, you know, decision making, like fine, just go on a site, go to a site. On defense, it's fine. You get to play retake. You're not getting pulled around by Cortesia across the map, right? You're not getting fucking triple fake Tom Brady Hail Mary. Wait, it's not a football. We're playing with a fucking hacky sack by Boaster, right? Like that's just not happening on some of these other maps. But the gap is there with the map pool we have. I feel like in China, I know it's a very like not backed by stats topic, but just a eye test feely thing for China. Maybe that might not be the way for them right now. Still, you're right. The parity's not that crazy, and like it could happen. It definitely could happen.
My thing with America's, like if it was to be America's, less likely. Like if the teams did go out, it would probably be what?
Yeah.
MIBR would probably like the pressure gets to them. They don't play their best. You know
I can't. No, there's no way.
You don't
like,
see that happening,
dude. We went from like, you know, young Osboss, like Tracer levels of like Zoomer, like just completely focused. I like the Zlatan. Is his name Zlatanovic? What's his name in football? The
Ibrahimovic.
Ibrahimovic. Is it Ibrahimovic? My bad. Zlatan, right? Like the guy.
Zlatan, yeah.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Yeah, my bad. I said Zlatanovic. I don't. That's like a fucking. Can we bleep that out? Like, there we go. Like we're fine. 100% okay, dude. He was like Zlatan, right? And now he's turned into like the fucking more so on the lines of Ted Lasso for his team in behind the scenes. Like these guys are not going to suffer.
Didn't realize Ted Lasso was going to play such an important role in this show.
I don't literally, but like it's just like he's had like if people have watched the show, like the Jamie Tart evolution. You know what I mean? Like he's gone from like a completely amazing, dope ass, selfish striker to like someone the team relies on as a leader in and outside the game. Like I don't think, which usually is the case for a team like this, mental strains and like the pressure is a thing anymore. They got Verno. These guys don't play, like the pressure does not affect these guys. Like they're in the business, man. I don't think that could ever be a weakness for MIBR again.
Well, we'll play this clip when they go out 0-2 in Swiss after losing to XLG, getting lost shit. And looking terrible. But no, I agree. I just want to quickly then. Yeah. I want you to. Obviously, we don't know all the teams that are going yet, but just like vibe check, rank the regions in terms of likelihood of winning Toronto.
Okay. Likelihood of winning, and I don't even want to see them win because they act like, you know, that meme of the guy with the trophy who like or the medal that bites the medal, pops the champagne. I feel like America's is on top right now. Then we have EMEA, then we have APAC, then we have China. That's my thing. America's due to plot armor. EMEA should be number one in my opinion with the strength of the top teams. I feel like Fnatic and Heretics have like this total package where in a playoffs it looks scary, on internationals it looks scary, but the magic of NA, I feel like it's magic time for them right now. And then like always have to underrate APAC, even though they probably should be also number one. And then China respectfully can always be number 4 because, you know, it's a safe place to put them.
But I think I would actually agree with that, to be honest. I think that is how I would rank it as well. I think.
Damn. Because no Boom, DR. I thought if Boom, DRX, and T1 were coming, I might put APAC in first. I'm not going to lie. If those 3 teams are coming and they just went like, you know, DRX BT1, they had a lower bracket running, like they fixed all their mistakes. Like if we were in Candyland for APAC, would you put them at number one?
I might not put them number one, but I might put them two.
I put them two. Okay. But for you, Americas is number one no matter what.
Assuming G2 go, yeah.
Okay,
Like in
yeah,
my
I
mind,
like
I'm
that.
assuming G2. If EG go, then I'm bumping them down because I
Yeah.
doubt EG could win it. But like, I think the three, if G2 go, the like, and this is the thing, I wouldn't say that Americas is the strongest region because I think Americas has like top to bottom, the bottom of Americas is absolutely fucking dog shit. Like
Yes.
I think they're awful, right?
Yeah.
But I think that the very top is a very strong top three. I think EMEA, like if EMEA send Fnatic, Heretics, and Liquid, I think that's a pretty solid top three as well. I think that's a three
Yeah.
that all have a chance of winning. I don't think RRQ can win the event.
Yep.
I have my
Gen
doubts.
G?
I don't even. Yeah, I'm not that sold on Gen G being able to win it either, to be honest.
Really? No playoff buff
Like
for Gen
the way
G.
Gen G win it, that Gen G have a chance. Like Gen G in my mind,
Yeah.
like they have a chance. It would be, we'd need to see, you know, the texture from like Shanghai last year. We need the Karen from when Karen has started to put on that, and texture did start to a bit more as well, but we need to see it dialed up even more. I think.
Yeah.
I'm not. The thing is, I'm not like when you think about Gen G winning Masters, it's like you've got texture, Karen, and Meteor as well, all fucking going crazy. Like when you've got three and Munchkin is a pretty good fragging IGL as well. Like when he's at the top of his game as well. Like you got 4 players they had last year who could take over a map.
Yep.
I'm not convinced that Ash or Foxy9 can take over a map. Even though Foxy9 has been playing well, I don't think you can trust him to like solo a map if you need it.
This will be either way. This will be like a test for him.
Yeah.
This is not like a performance we're going to be watching. That's the thing. And like if you're looking at teams that have like a chance to show up or like put on a performance, it's better to rely on those teams than it is to look at tests. That makes sense.
Yeah, but that is how I see it right now. Yeah, maybe if like if DRX and Boom had won and like looked really good, and then like if T1 came back and looked like they were they're T1 again, like the best version of T1, then maybe Pacific would be right up there. But I think given what we've seen from the Pacific team so far in the playoffs, it's tough to kind of trust them. But then again, we're maybe one of Team Heretics or Fnatic, one of them will lose that game. Maybe they'll be shit. They'll go out of playoffs and they'll be like, oh no, we're sending fucking Navi. and then it would go down. Then my ranking would go down for EMEA. So we'll see how it is. Okay, let's move on to the last question.
Yes.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Been born.
Okay. Is it more likely that T1 win Masters Toronto or NRG make champs?
That's a fucking nuclear bomb drop. That's a dude. I used to have a sound effect for it, but like that's crazy, man. Holy shit. Well, I had my thoughts on T1, right? I feel like NRG, you said make champs, right? Not
make
win
champs. No win. They just have to make it. I do want to preface that you have to remember they're not going to make it on champ points. They have to finish in the top 2 to make champs.
T1 winning. T1 winning. I'd put it on T1 winning. Dude, and I'm the biggest NRG. You know me. I'm the biggest NRG or any type of NA team losing fanboy. I'm the biggest losing matchups, no cedar matchups like believer, bro. And in my opinion, NRG, they just don't have it. I don't even think they're gonna make changes for this next split. I think they're still gonna have Phoenix in the fucking driving seat, and like it's gonna be horrible.
Well, that's the thing. Obviously, some people might say, "Oh, well, NRG, they're just gonna change their roster and they'll pick up the best players in the world, and then they'll be fine, right?" Like, let's assume that they keep the. Let's say the roster is the same.
No, I'm gonna go for both assumptions, right? Either the roster is the same and it's bad, which is what happens if the roster is the same, or they pick up some tier 2 NA stuff, which is what I'm thinking. Even if it's tier 1 players from other sides, they're not giving up Mata and they're not giving up Brock. They're not signing an entire 5. Even if they sign an entire 5, you're playing against like T1 practice teams, like or tier 1 practice teams, like
not T1.
the ecosystem of it, right? Like, like the stage, the coaching, the schedules. It's very different from tier 2. and it's very different from team to team. And I don't think there's enough time to make adjustments to come top 2 in the region against MIBR specifically. And like even a team like EG, C9, Crew, even 100 Thieves, how they look against G2 when they're looking strong. Like all these teams are already ahead of NRG. They've made the NRG change, or they've kept the NRG non-change, and they're starting to improve. They're starting to thwart like the Titans of NA already, right? Like they're looking good. NRG are already 2 steps behind. That like I'll answer it via that one, which I don't think NRG can make it. And then I'll give you my analogy for T1 now, which is T1 are Spider-Man.
Okay.
Now, which Spider-Man are they is the question, right? We've got Miles Morales and we've got Peter Parker. Now, what is the definitive trait of Peter Parker's Spider-Man? Basically, why do people love Spider-Man? Because he gets knocked down and he comes back up, right? Is this going to be a Peter Parker Masters where T1 don't make it, they get knocked down, they go through their training arc, they lift off the rubble, and they come back looking strong for champs, right? Or is it Miles Morales, which is I want both my cakes, right? If you guys have seen Across the Spider-Verse, I want to win the first Masters. I want to win the second one as well through all the hardship I go through anyways, the identity crisis, the struggles. I'm going to get both my cakes. I'm going to skip my canon event and make it my story. Like do this completely brand new. We're not going through every single other moment. The uncle's not going to die. We're going to make the playoffs instead, right? Like it's going to be amazing. Like that's the question. Which Spider-Man is this team? And I can see them being either or. Either way, better chance of energy, in my opinion, no matter which mask you put on.
That's interesting. I mean, I design these questions, but even for me, it's difficult because this one in particular, like I have no faith in either. Like, yeah, T1 being Spider-Man, I like that. I like T1 as Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Look, for T1 to win Masters Toronto, they need to win 3 games in a row just to make it.
Against some big teams.
Against teams. And then going to Toronto, whilst they might have a bit of a buff, of being like the previous champs and having been on a lower bracket run, I still think I would say it's very unlikely that even if they went, that they would win. Very unlikely.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You picked T1. And you've managed to convince me on some of these other ones because I'm letting you go first, and then you're going, well, actually, yeah, that's a good point. This one, I'm not being convinced. I think NRG making champs. I think NRG making champs is more likely than T1 winning Masters. Let me explain why.
Okay, I'll go for it.
The reason that this could happen, I mean, whether they change the roster, more likely I think it happens if they change the roster than if they don't. But either way, time is on their side. They've got 3 months before, well, they got 2 full months, 2 and a bit months before the next stage starts. Teo will almost certainly be nerfed. I think a new map will come out as well. And when a new map comes out, oftentimes it's kind of random on who gets the right read, right? Like when Lotus came out, Fnatic had the read instantly. They were amazing in the map. When Sunset came out, Fnatic were dog shit at Sunset. There is no kind of like one size fits all. You're going to be good at this new map. It's kind of random, I think, in terms of who adapts to it fastest, who has the right players in the right comp, who can find the right comp, that kind of stuff. I think the path for NRG, again, ideally is making roster moves, but I think in a different meta that they've got plenty of time to probably prepare and get ready for. They know that Sunset is coming back in for Fracture. Fracture hasn't been a great map for them, so that's fine. And then I think a new map will come in as well, and something else will rotate out.
Mm-hmm.
And if a map that rotates out that they're bad at is gone, and this new map they're good at, and maybe they're good at Sunset, and in a new meta that's maybe a bit slower and, suits their strengths a bit more, I think that they, like, because again, you say finish top 2, they don't actually have to finish top 2. They have to finish top 2 of the teams that don't have the best champ points, which is probably going to be most likely G2 and Zen.
But so that means they have to beat one or the other, pretty much.
No, as long as they finish, like G2 and Sen could finish in the grand final, and they would just have to
Oh,
come
but
third or fourth.
they would have to just come top 2 in general. Oh, wait.
Outside of G2 and Sen. Most likely. It could be someone else, of course. It could be
True, 'cause they
MIBL,
have
like
to
if
make
they won
champs. So,
Masters,
like,
but
yeah, so they could almost just have to come fourth, even, like, in a sense,
yes,
in
to
terms
make
of
champs.
yeah.
So basically, it's can
Okay.
NRG beat everyone else other than G2 and Sen?
Yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, now I think you've convinced me
Okay.
because
Okay, good.
if I'm thinking about it that
Steve
way,
want a shit.
yeah. There's that. There's that. There's also 2G, Furia, Leviathan, and a bunch of other fodder that could possibly, be inside the same group of NRG. That they end up going 2-0, 2-0, 2-1 against, and then it's kind of like, oh shit, is this the team? But it just depends on that change, man. If they still have like a baker, basically, if they still have a baker on the team, like I don't know. It's gonna be tough. You have to win. You have to win. You have to go almost flawless, right? Like in that entire, you have to beat like a pretty strong team on the other side, anyways, and then also go pretty far in the playoffs.
I've just received some breaking news.
Okay.
I've got 2 bits of breaking news for you. Are you
I was
ready
trying
for
to see if I
this?
could catch them too. Yep. Okay.
Are you ready for this? So the
Yeah.
first one here is because I think we answered that question. I'm sorry, it just came up and I was like, oh shit. First one here is
Yeah.
this. Former Gentle Mates player Robbie BK has reached a verbal agreement with Loud in VCT Americas.
That's crazy. Yo, bro, that is wild, dude. This guy was like my favorite player coming into this shit, and you guys can see why on stage for the 1 week he got to fucking play. Back on Loud is crazy, bro. Huh? I mean, who's he replacing then? Who's their IGL?
Well, Vinny was,
And then
but
he
it's
got
not.
replaced by
But then they brought in
Tui's.
Luke Show, so I don't know who
Oh no, Luke.
They're not replacing Luke Show. There's no fucking chance they're replacing Luke Show. 100%. I have no idea who it would be. It won't be. Who would it be? It would probably be
That is, I mean, did they
Tui's?
6-man it?
Like this
Like,
is the
that's what
current Loud roster.
I mean, it'd have to be
They got
Tui's, yeah.
Pancada, DG, Tui's. It says Luke Show is a sub, but he's not.
Yeah.
Vinny's already a sub. It would have to be Tui's, I would think. Tui's for Robbie BK. That's and now what? They're doing multi-language unless he can speak Portuguese. Maybe he can, but he's not Portuguese.
I don't think he's Portuguese. I think when it comes to in-game, and I think we've seen it from like Rarga as well, like sometimes like the whole team is just doing one thing and the English player is just like, they're here. Or like he just gets a 4K and like it's fine. But Robbie is like a vibes plus IGL. So it's like, I mean, you got 2 months. Duolingo has some premium, okay, plans, I think. Might be the case. What do you think about this? I mean,
I think it's strange because Robbie was a player that, like, he fits Loud very well because he's a player that would do crazy good and then drop off a cliff. And Loud are obsessed with someone dropping 1,000,000 kills and somehow losing rounds. Like, they're obsessed with that. So I think he fits the theme, but I think it's quite strange.
Yeah, he's a very aggressive IGL. Like I think one of their most famous maps was Haven in general, at least in the tier 2 scene. The way Robbie ran these guys is just like fucking 8 seconds slow walk up mid or slow walk in the garage and pop. Like, and the team would do the job. And they tried it as well when they came in, and it worked a few rounds here and there. And then people started to realize what they were doing and played full retake on Lynx. And things started to get a bit bad for the mates. But against Loud, the way these guys get first kills, in terms of conversion, I feel like Robbie BK is a really fucking a good shout. If you have an advantage in a round, this guy knows how to push it. When you are losing a round, I feel like they have a nice system, at least the team on what to do next. So if they need someone to convert off of wins, which I mean, if you look at again, TMV talked about it, right? Like if you need someone to fly after you jumped off the cliff, Robbie BK, good fucking IGL, good player, 100%. Um, I just wonder if they can keep flying off cliffs if we're not all if you don't have the same tires on the car. If one of the tires on the car is a little bit bigger, is or smaller, it's a different language, right? Like, will the car drive? That's the question. He's
Yeah.
got to get off the cliff.
Well, that's Robbie BK going to Loud.
Yep.
But there's other news as well, though.
Yep.
Patch just dropped.
I see that as well.
Let's talk about some. I mean, let's talk about this first, actually. Let's talk about general updates. Gifting is now available.
The game is dying, my friends. The game is
You
dying,
can
and now you need to
gift-
buy stuff for your friends.
You can gift. Starting with the first bundle of the act, players can now send featured store bundles and items directly to friends. Navigate to the store, open the details, click the gift button in the bottom right corner, select your recipient, restrictions apply. Choose the gift of full bundle or individual items, send your gift.
Yep.
Do you like that? Do you think that's you said the game's done?
No, I mean, like, in terms of like monetization, gifting is like one of the things that especially like in League of Legends, like was huge way back in the day, especially when I was in high school. Like you would buy RP, you'd go home, you'd buy your skins, and then like if there was like a 520 skin you wanted to gift a friend, every friend had like their favorite skin, and we were all kind of like broke in high school. If one guy had RP, like your best friend was eating lunch that day too, like you got a little bit of a skin. It's good for the game in terms of putting money into it. It's a system that's been there, like, and I think it's one of the most popular systems in League. There were like things you could get for gifting people too, like title cards and titles and whatnot. Generally, cool they caught up. Does it also open up all the DM floods you get as a content creator of like my account got hacked and they gifted this to that? Like, yeah, that happens too. There's so much hacking stuff with gifting too, which is one of the reasons I feel like I might have not been in the game. But it's kind of cool. Now, the coolest thing ever is if I have 3 Smurfs, which I don't because I never Smurf, I only have 1 main. I get full rolls at the item shop every day for the Vandal skin I can't get across the whole year. So that's kind of nice.
That's a good point.
But I would never benefit from this type of system because 100% just have 1 account and I can't Smurf because that's illegal. We shouldn't do that.
Let's move right on past that into the agent changes. So Brim, they've just added Brim's Molotov audio has been updated to easier to hear, especially when placed underneath smokes. Don't care.
Yep.
Astra. The Nova Pulse stun duration is now less at 3.5 seconds. Most non-ultimate concussives are 3.5 seconds, so we're changing Astra's Nova Pulse to match the typical duration. I think that is dumb.
Yeah, I do too. Let her be special. The fuck? She has to go into a...
How many people even knew that? No one knew that. No one realized or ever knew that Astra's stun was slightly longer than most other stuns in the game. I can guarantee you no one fucking knew. So maybe this is a change that will make literally no difference because no one ever knew anyway. I think they did that with Viper sometimes. Like back in remember when Viper was super OP and then they started nerfing some things? I swear to you, some of the things that they nerfed, everyone was like, what? Didn't even realize that was a thing.
Literally. Yep.
That feels like one of those ones. But I just like, was it a problem? Was it really a problem, Riot, that the Nova Pulse was 4 seconds?
I don't know how that makes it in, and that's a big thing that we need to change. But again, if you look at League, if you look at even Legends of Runeterra, and like I know the fighting game's not in the business, but just frame things like this. The timers for abilities are kind of like frame data in fighting games. For Riot specifically, if there's a tier of them and it's like a very similar move, usually in their games it lasts the same time.
Yeah.
Now a 0.5 difference being there, in my opinion, I think Nova Pulse should actually be a longer stun because like you set
harder
it up,
to do it. Yeah.
It's a trap stun. So like even if it's 0.5, I think should be a better reward for hitting that thing. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. Hitting a good Nova Pulse, what a feeling. What a feeling. If you predict where someone is, but like, because that's the thing I agree with you. This should be treated like a different stun because it's not like a fucking neon stun. You see where someone is, you just throw the thing at them. They're trapped. They're stunned. Like or even a breach stun where they came up on the map drone stun like easy.
Yeah.
Like No, if someone came up on the map from a drone, you'd have to be in your astral form, fucking get the star down, then do the pulse. Like what? They'd have to be slow. They'd have to be the ancient person. They'd have to be fucking Benjamin Button coming out of the womb, like like barely fucking able to move for by the time that you've got that off. Like it's just not happening. So yeah, I think you should get a bigger reward for correctly getting a no pulse. But let's actually get to the big part of this patch change, which is Yoru.
Nice.
Nothing's
changed.
Yoru's Dimensional Drift is a powerful ultimate that requires a lot of opponent attention, so we're standardizing its duration to similar ultimates and raising its point cost. It now lasts only 10 seconds, and it is now an 8 cost ultimate.
Not enough. Not enough at all. Like, people are already getting picks. Like, they're already overkilling for Yoru ults by the time they have them. Half the time, it's like, if this guy could get one kill, the next round he'd have his ults, like, there's the option for getting the orb is always there for Yoru as well, with how good teams have it at controlling space when you have Yoru in the meta as well. And we've already seen people like TP skipping his ult. Like I see players like having they decloak with like 3 seconds left sometimes. Just find the guy. It is what it is. Now, is Havoc crying in the club in the pro club somewhere in mid? Yes. Are every other experienced Yoru player like sad? Is it going to separate like the guys who are just picking him up and the top of the top tippity dogs in VCT? Yes. But I don't think the 2 seconds is actually, I think it's a buff to some of these players. I feel like some of these guys overcook seeing 9 different things and then choosing the wrong option. I feel like only having 10 seconds, not getting the extra 2 of indecision and actually being able to uncloak is dope, man. That honestly, a buff, and the 8 point, not too crazy. Not too crazy for me. You're still getting what? 2.5, 2.5. If you're playing well, 3.5. Like it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's a good change. Like the change itself is a good change. Like the Yoru definitely should have been an 8 cost ult, and I don't mind them reducing the duration either. I think that's fine. I've got no problem with that. I don't think that will impact Yoru's pick rate at all. So, I think but here's the thing, Shai. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too. I think he's a great agent. Like, and I don't think he's invasive by any means. You have to play around what he builds. Honestly, you
have to be good at the game to play Yoru, which I like.
Exactly. Yeah. If you think this agent is a problem, and you're listening to this podcast and you're a developer, take away a teleport, and that will really show you true counterplay around the agent. I still think the only problem with this agent is that there's not enough counterplay around him, but that's about it. He can skip a lot of stuff. He can break a lot of util scot-free. They've raised the price of the clone as well, but like I don't think it's ever going to be raised to the point where it's too much.
Yeah.
Even then, I'm being a hater. I'm going to step back for a second. This is fine. This is cool.
Yep. Yeah. I think this is fine. This is cool. That's where I'm at as well. Okay, to close out, I mean, I asked you to make these analogies, and I was going to ask you for them, but unfortunately, then we got some fucking breaking news that we needed to talk about. So just give me like your favorite ones. So I asked you to make some analogies for. We've heard some of them, but the ones that we haven't heard thus far, maybe give me a couple of whatever you like, whatever your favorite ones were.
All right, let me see. I gotta bust open. I think Pacific is left. There's like EMEA as well a little bit. What's it called? Dude, I kind of ran through my favorite ones, bro. Nongshim are gonna have to cook like with the most premium ingredients. They're gonna have to be given like I don't know what it is by the coaches, like garlic oil, fucking like green onions from the cliff of like an ancient mountain we've never seen before. To have something special cook up. I don't know what it's going to be with this team. Maybe Premi becomes like he steams up, right? We always talk about firing up. Not even Premi, my bad.
Yeah.
Dambi Ivy, like steam up. Yeah, they steam up and things look amazing against their match against Talon. But honestly, for Nongshim, I feel like it's just gonna be overcooked ramen. And I'm sorry, Will. Or Chobra, my bad. Will, Jesus Christ, on our first name.
No, we should call him Will. Let's call him Will for now.
I'm down. They're just gonna be cooked over, man. What else is there? Talon, like in order to make it, I'm not sure. I look at Talon, I see clipped wings personally. Gonna have to evolve into Talon Flame maybe, but I think some of the stronger stuff is like in EMEA. For Fnatic, it's like I'm seeing a team that's getting their brain like bigger and bigger. There's a guy in Invincible that has that thing where like he's a really big headed, like the veins are busting out. But like, at what point does your head like when does Humpty Dumpty fall off the wall? You know what I'm saying? We got to be we're starting on thin ice here when it comes to Fnatic.
I don't know why
The
veins
brain is big.
busting out. Just it got me. It got me. Those three words together.
It's a whole thing. What else is there? Like, I got through the best ones, man. I had
Okay,
Spider-Man, I had the
that's
Star
fine.
Wars one. We pushed
The
through.
Star Wars one
Trojan
was
Horse.
very good.
Yeah, Trojan Horse for Liquid. I mean, I think they need to. They if anything, they're sneaking in, right? This is not going to be a.
Oh, you think they're
This is not
sneaking
gonna
in?
be. I think they're sneaking in. I
But
think we're
when
gonna
they
be
get
seeing,
in,
like,
they what massacre everyone and they're Toronto. They're to win
yes,
Toronto.
in
They
Toronto,
sneak in
yeah.
but win Toronto.
I think they struggle in limping. Oh, nah, like I'm weak. Oh no, I'm Liquid. And then boom, like this is the save strats team. This is the we're sandbagging to get the Toronto team. Is my take for Liquid in terms of them winning. Because some of these teams, like the analogy and the thought process is how are they making it Toronto, making it to Toronto. For other teams, it's how are you winning Toronto as well. For the teams we know that are going. So that's the whole difference. But a lot of my major
and for
presentations are
Fnatic,
gonna
you
win.
think Humpty Dumpty falls off a wall at some point?
The thing is, because we have Fnatic and Heretics on the same side, like I'm not sure how same side works, but at some point they're gonna have to like face each other, right? Like that's how it goes.
And you
So
think Humpty Dumpty falls off that wall?
I think Humpty Dumpty like falls off that wall. Here's the cool thing with Humpty Dumpty they don't talk about, right? Let's get into Humpty real quick. It's not about the egg, it's about his vision. Humpty, if the wall's splitting two halves, has one half of vision. He's always looking at the camera. Fnatic, one half of Haven, right? Where's their defense side, right? Look at the map pool. They've got half of it. The other half, counterpicked, counterplayed by some worse teams. Humpty, look at his vision. Don't judge him by his body, but what he can see. That's my yeah, I think outside the box here, TMV. It's the whole thing.
I think that's where we should end. There's nothing else I can say after that is going to improve this podcast anymore. So thank you, Shia, for coming on to episode 49 of Cosmic Divide. I hope you enjoyed it. This episode was, a little chaotic, but I like that. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I assume we'll be co-streaming. I'm assuming you'll be co-streaming many of the upcoming games. Whenever EMEA fucking decides to play their game. And the forthcoming playoffs, which have been spread out across the various days of May. But yeah, I'll be there. I'm sure Shio will be there for most of it too. So yeah, look forward to that. And subscribe to the Acend channel.